Thanks for joining us on Arc Salt Lake. I'm Brian Schnee. December 18th. Tonight, we're going in depth on the deaths of 5 members of a family in West Valley City.
A tragedy of this magnitude, I think, is hard to comprehend.
Well, last night when we first received information, West Valley City Police only knew 5 members of a family were found dead, with 1 family member still alive with a gunshot wound. Police say the investigation indicates now that the 42-year-old father shot all of the members of his family and shot himself. Police say this likely happened sometime over the weekend. When they gained access to the home last night, they found a 17-year-old in the garage with a gunshot wound to the head. He remains in the hospital in critical condition with a brain injury. A son, 2 daughters, and a mother didn't make it. We've been following the investigation since it happened yesterday. If you'd like to catch up on all of the latest developments in this investigation, you can find it on our website, KUTV.com. So earlier today, West Valley City Deputy Communications Director Roxanne Vianuku provided an update on the investigation. Let's listen in.
So the bodies inside of the house, as you'll recall, were the 42-year-old father of the family, the 38-year-old mother of the family, an 11-year-old son, a 2-year-old daughter, and a 9-year-old daughter. All of the victims appeared to have suffered gunshot wounds. Autopsies will confirm the exact cause of death. The bodies of the mother and the 2 daughters were located in the bedroom on the upper level of the home. The bodies of the father and the 11-year-old son were located in the living room of the home. And a small handgun was found underneath the body of the father. We believe this was the weapon used in the shootings. However, ballistic and forensic analysis will determine that definitively. That is our initial determination, is that the father likely shot all of the members of the family and then himself. However, we do need to wait for confirmation from ballistics evidence and also from forensics evidence to be able to determine that definitively. The last confirmed, I believe, is Friday night, Saturday morning, sometime into maybe the early hours of Saturday morning. The 17-year-old suffered a severe brain injury. He was shot through the head, and he is not in a condition where we're able to speak to him. He's not communicative at all at this point. We believe that he made his way to the garage. We do not believe he was shot in the garage. We believe that it happened sometime over the weekend, and we're going to need more information that will come likely from the autopsy to be able to let us know a better timeline, but we do believe it happened sometime over the weekend.
Well, if you'd like to go into detail on the timeline, investigators say led up to finding the family last night. All of those preliminary details, as well as the questions that still remain, can be found in this story on our website, KUTV.com. Our 2 News Investigates team spent the day looking into the history of the family for any insight into this horrific situation. Our search of various court and legal records underscores that this seemed, at least on the outside, to be a quiet family. No indication that the members of this family had any previous convictions or have ever been charged with a crime. No history of domestic violence. The worst thing, speeding ticket or 2. Today, police saying until this week's welfare check, they'd never responded to this address. And the only police or 911 call they received from there was a complaint of a loud party down the street. It appears the family involved moved to their home in West Valley about 3.5 years ago, previously having lived in Texas and Kentucky. We have requested records from police of any interaction they've had at this address in the past years, also requesting copies of the 911 calls that led to police checking on the home Monday, and then the call yesterday that ended with police finding a mass murder scene. With the last 2 hours or so, 2 News received a statement from the Granite School District confirming the 3 older kids are students in the district. They say in part, quote, "We can confirm the 3 older children are enrolled students at Granite School District. We are refraining from sharing specific schools at this time." We're hearing from community members tonight in the aftermath of the West Valley City family being found deceased. Brian Malahy spent the day in the neighborhood talking to neighbors about this unspeakable tragedy.
Late afternoon, additions to a small memorial at the family home.
I am still in shock.
Neighbor Camille Pania says she was outside the house.
My heart is just very heavy.
When police moves signaled the weight of what happened.
They kind of took a few seconds and they came out and they kind of immediately got the caution tape.
This family was so quiet.
Airman de Casa remembered a playful dad with his kids.
Very nice father. I don't know exactly what happened. I feeling so sad.
Now people are driving past the house, those who knew the dead, those who did not.
I wonder if she already had her Christmas ready for her children. And she probably did, you know. That's what us mothers do.
If you would like to learn more about how this community is reacting to the tragedy, you can head to this story you see right here on our website, KUTV.com. It's a tough story to process for everybody here, including us at 2 News. We're talking about a really heavy situation here. But as the investigation into the murders in the West Valley City area continues, we want to take a deeper look at some of the history of the unfortunate mass shootings here in the Beehive State. There have been 4 mass shootings in Utah dating back to 2007 and 3 in the last decade. That doesn't account for any gang-related violence. Those are some other categories that we've been looking into. Mass shootings are defined as any incident where 4 or more people are shot, wounded, or killed, excluding the shooter. Back on January 4th of 2023, Michael Haight killed 7 family members in his home in Enoch, including 5 children. You probably remember seeing a lot of our coverage on that one. Then in January of 2020, Colin Haney shot and killed his mother and 3 siblings at their family home, this in Grantsville. Back in 2014, Linden police officer Josh Boren shot and killed his wife, 2 young children, and his mother-in-law at a home in Spanish Fork. And then something that a lot of longstanding Utahns will definitely remember, the Trolley Square shooting in 2007. Completely different than all 3 of these situations, by the way, I just mentioned, where an armed gunman, Suleiman Talavic, killed 6 people and injured 3 others before Talavic was confronted and killed by police. Earlier today, 2 News spoke with a trauma expert about ways to talk about and process tragedies like this.
Not only does this story impact family members and first responders, but the community as a whole when these tragedies happen.
Yes, and joining us live in the studio is James Ott from Red Willow Counseling and Recovery. We want to thank you so much for joining us. This is a difficult topic, a very heavy topic to talk about for people who, even if you're just within the vicinity as a neighbor, this can be hard. How does someone cope with something like this?
Well, trauma is an interesting thing because a lot of us are exposed to trauma at some point in our lives. Sometimes it's more pronounced than others, and coping is very difficult. And just like any sort of medical illness, we really want to get the right professional help if it's a severe trauma such as this.
And you talk about there's a 2-year-old that was involved in this, you know, a 9-year-old, an 11-year-old, a 17-year-old that's still fighting for his life or being told by police. What would you say to families out there that are holding their loved ones a little bit closer tonight after hearing about what's happened?
This is a scary time, and actually it's really natural for us to want to protect our family and protect our loved ones. And part of that is we think of the worst case scenario to anticipate any danger. It's somewhat of a survival tactic. So really, a lot of this is allowing us to feel what we're feeling. If we were very close to the family and close to the trauma, again, there's very specific therapeutic measures needed to address the seriousness of this. Early intervention is best. Those that maybe aren't so close but are shook up, it's not uncommon for there to be some disturbance, but in a sense, like, it'll get better later on. About 50% of people exposed to trauma, it's resolved within 3 months.
Are there indicators that point to someone who needs to get help that people can spot and say, hey, you might want to see someone about this?
Yeah, you know, really, the basic is when you're seeing someone who's not acting within normal function. So lack of sleep, excessive worry, jumpiness, you know, being startled easily, fearful of normal places, normal events. Those are some of the symptoms.
And then first responders, they're the ones that go in and see a lot of the really, really terrible things, the images as they enter homes in situations like this. I have to imagine these first responders are feeling a heavy weight today. I mean, what do you think would be said to a first responder in a situation like this?
Yeah, I think first responders have it really tough because a lot of that is they carry that weight with them. Sometimes they don't, most of the time actually, they don't really talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
They don't go home at night and talk to their family and loved ones about this. They want to protect them. So really it is essential for first responders exposed to this level of trauma to really get professional help.
All right, well, James Ott with Red Willow Counseling and Recovery. Real quick, if someone needs some help, how can they reach out to you and your folks?
redwillowcounseling.com.
Okay.
It's that simple. Thank you.
All right, we appreciate you coming in and sharing some of this context around this. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, if you'd like to catch up on all of our interviews and statements from this unfolding tragedy, where we're going to continue to learn more information about what took place here, you can find a lot of that right now on our YouTube channel, our KUTV 2 News YouTube page. Earlier today, we had the chance to speak with the Utah Domestic Violence Coalition about the impacts of domestic violence, especially around the holidays.
I want to welcome in Kim Wolf from the Utah Domestic Violence Coalition. Kim, first and foremost, this has affected a lot of people because of the time of year, just the horrendous crime, and of course children were involved. If somebody's feeling despondent or depressed, they should probably reach out and talk to somebody, right?
They should talk to anyone, a professional, family, friends, whatever their support system is. This is really not something for individuals, families, communities to process in silent. And so this is something that we really do hope that if you are triggered, if you're hurting, if you are just having trouble processing, we must talk through this.
Kim, if I'm of the mindset that I might want to hurt myself or somebody else, it's probably hard for me to diagnose myself. But people in the inner circle, what should they look for? What are some of the red flags to look for if you think somebody that you know is having problems?
Any type of suicidal ideology, any type of, final acts, giving away possessions, quitting jobs, not taking care of yourself, dark thoughts. Most of us know our close circle, rather well. And so when we see changes, ask.
Yeah.
It's only going to hurt if we don't ask.
And Kim, also, you have I think I counted 15 different resources for people who might need help, where they can get help. Where do they go? Where do they turn? What should they do first?
So the Utah Domestic Violence Coalition has a hotline, and that is a statewide hotline. So you mentioned the 15. Well, those are domestic violence service providers. They're located throughout the state of Utah,
right,
along the Wasatch Front in rural communities. It does happen. So if you have any concerns, reach out to a local provider. If you don't know, then reach out to us, the statewide, and we can get you connected. And that's for victims as well as people who feel that they are heading down a path and they are using this type of power and control. We can get them resources as well.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but you have the number off the top of your head?
It's 1-800-597-LINK, L-I-N-K. It's confidential. So for survivors, for perpetrators, for family and friends, anyone who has concerns.
Kim, we so appreciate the work you do. This has been a tough couple of days, but thank you for coming in and talking to us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Kim.
Well, thank you to both James and Kim for coming in on 2 News at 4, 2 News at 5 tonight. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, resources are available. You can always call the national hotline and that Utah Domestic Violence Coalition number you see on your screen. Of course, if someone is in immediate danger, the number to call is 911. Coming up on Arc Salt Lake, learning more about a deadly crash last night that took the life of a pregnant woman. Details next. A pregnant woman is dead tonight. West Valley community members describe what happened near their homes. It started as a shooting, then a deadly crash where the suspect collided into two vehicles, killing a pregnant woman. The shooting happened last night at an apartment complex in West Valley, and about a half hour later, the suspect, according to investigators, ran a red light, T-boning her vehicle, killing her. Community members say they're struggling to make sense of this.
We heard like 4 or 5 shots. And after that, we heard like a girl's scream, and me and my kids looked at each other because we were like, maybe somebody did get hurt.
Authorities say after the 20-year-old suspect shot his brother, he took off and crashed at an intersection, hitting not just the pregnant woman's car, but another vehicle as well. A lot of heavy news tonight on Arc Salt Lake. So if you'd like to go back and revisit some of the things we've discussed, got a lot of that on our website. Let's lighten it up here. I mean, the conversation about snow always makes me feel pretty good.
Right.
You and I were talking today. We need a little more cover at some of our
We need a lot more
mountains.
cover.
We need a lot more
Yeah.
snow here. I know it's early, but I want
Yeah.
some more.
And we are way behind here. 22 inches at Alta. The average for the month of December, which we still have a week and a half to go, is 91 inches, only half an inch out at the airport. So we've got a long way to go. And I'm actually going to show a graphic here that is the first I'm going to show on air. You're seeing it on Arc Salt Lake. This is kind of behind the scenes. This is what the forecasting models are showing right now. Now, take this with a grain of salt because these are not high resolution models, but this gives us a picture of what could potentially happen. And you like to see this, right? You like to see this. This means there's an opportunity for a white Christmas. I still have to mention it's still looking pretty mild, and any change in the path, change in the temperatures could mean we could see 90% all rain and maybe only a coating of some snow. But we're hoping, right? We want this. So if you want snow for Christmas, the trend is your friend right now. So we're going to continue to keep an eye on it. Still, again, we're not forecasting that, but that's just a little bit of a taste of behind the scenes of what we're dealing with in terms of what we're looking at here with our forecasting models. Temperatures right now up and down the Wasatch Front, we're into the 40s and 30s. Big temperature difference here. A little bit cloudier up towards the north. We're at 38 in Logan, 27 in Heber, 31 in Manti. Yeah, we've got to deal with quiet conditions, high pressure moving in. What that means for us, hazy skies are going to return, air quality concerns, or at least air quality issues as we head towards the end of the weekend. Yeah, boo, right? As we head into Saturday, but it's not going to be as long. It's going to mix out as we get into Sunday. As I mentioned, we're dry right now all across the state. The next weather maker, the high pressure system moving in, and we get a few weak disturbances as we get into the weekend up to the north. That will be enough to mix things out, especially as we get into Monday. Monday could be perhaps a little bit of a sneaky system here, providing some light snow accumulations into the mountains, valley rain, something we'll watch out for. That'll be a little bit of a taste of what is yet to come for the main event. That's Christmas Day. We're tracking a widespread storm that should impact much of the state, if not all of the state, as it moves in Christmas morning, continuing on to the afternoon. Still a lot of uncertainty on what is going to fall. If it's going to be all snow, all rain, or a mix of both. Right now, I'm leaning to a mix of both, at least starting off as rain, then transitioning over to snow when we get into the late afternoon and evening. So I think it's pretty set. There's really high confidence that we're going to get a storm on Christmas Day. Still low confidence on the precipitation type, but I can call us maybe medium confidence once we get to Friday and we start to see some better blends with the model here of what we're going to see. Still 8 days away, or still many days away, so a lot can change and will change. We're into the temperatures overnight down close to that freezing mark into the 20s across much of the area. We're into the 50s here for highs tomorrow, 47 in Park City and St. George, 60s. I mean, Brian, this is some golf weather right there each and every day for the first day of winter. Then along the Wasatch Front, hey, we could still get around in here too. 50s as we get into Saturday, a little bit of haze, but then we'll be watching out for that active weather next week.
All right, thank you, Sean. See you in just a minute here. Coming up on Arc Salt Lake, remember when murder hornets had many on edge? This was 5 years ago. A new report shares an update on the invasive species. Crush any pasta. I don't really want to talk about murder hornets. Sean and I were just talking about food. Yeah. All right, so you probably remember these things. They're frightening. The murder hornets had everyone on edge. This was pre-pandemic, 2019. Apparently, you no longer have to worry. According to the New York Times, the invasive species have been eradicated across the country. Well, bye-bye.
Yeah, crews were able to do so by meticulously tracking hornets back to 4 major nests in Washington state, which were then destroyed. Experts say they will keep an eye out for any more murder hornets to stop future invasions.
What will be next? If it's not the murder hornets, it's got to be something else at this point.
I don't know, ants.
Ants, keep it going.
Fly. Oh, hey.
We're running. Yeah, woo! See you tomorrow. Back to the Future.